Tina had always been the talk of her high school. With her flawless looks, trendy outfits, and a confident walk that turned heads, she appeared to have it all. However, beneath the glamorous facade was a secret she guarded closely. Everything she flaunted was borrowed. Her hair extensions were loaned by a generous stylist, her shoes came from a friend's closet, and even her dazzling bags were not hers. Tina loved the illusion of a wealthy lifestyle and took pleasure in the admiration and envy it brought her way. Her attitude reflected her pride. She made it clear that she didn't mingle with the ordinary people. Phrases like, "You're not my class," and "I can't associate with local people" were her favorite weapons to belittle others. Her classmates admired her outward confidence but whispered about her arrogance. Still, Tina didn't care. As long as people believed she was wealthy, she felt untouchable. Little did Tina know, the habits she formed in high school would follow her into adulthood, leading her down a path of shocking revelations and lessons she never anticipated. Years after high school, Tina had managed to maintain her extravagant image. She wore the latest fashion, drove flashy cars, and attended high-profile events. Her reputation as a wealthy woman was unquestionable, at least to those who didn't know the truth. One day, while shopping at an upscale supermarket, Tina ran into Kate, an old schoolmate. Kate was humble and warm, excited to reconnect. She shared her story of struggling to find work before finally landing a job at the supermarket. As Tina listened, her usual pride kicked in. She began bragging about her achievements, her luxurious lifestyle, and her many expensive possessions. When Kate asked for Tina's contact information, Tina looked at her old phone and scoffed. "I can't add my number to a cheap phone," she said with a smirk, holding up her borrowed latest iPhone. "You attract what you associate with." Kate simply smiled, responding, "Tina, you haven't changed." From that day, Tina made it a point to visit the supermarket frequently, each time showcasing a different car, outfit, or piece of jewelry. She thrived on making Kate feel small, unaware that the wheels of fate were turning against her. Tina, in her usual way, decided to make her presence known at the supermarket, even if it was just to buy a packet of detergent. She enjoyed being seen in her borrowed luxury, knowing that Kate would always be around to observe her extravagant behavior. This time, as she arrived, she saw Kate standing outside the supermarket talking to a young man dressed in simple clothes. Curious and eager to assert her dominance, Tina walked over with her head held high. "Kate, darling. Always working so hard, I see. And who is this?" Kate turned, smiled politely, and said, "Hi, Tina. This is my husband." The young man extended his hand for a handshake, but Tina barely glanced at it. Instead, she laughed sarcastically. "Oh, how adorable. A supermarket couple. I see you both work here. Truly a match made in, well, the shelves." Kate's husband wrinkled his brows and asked, "Honey, who is this?" Kate sighed and responded, "Just an old high school friend, love. Don't mind her, this is how she's always been." Tina, ignoring the slight, smirked. "Well, I'm glad to see you two are still struggling together. Speaking of progress, I'm opening my new house in Lekki next weekend. Of course, many dignitaries will be there. I wouldn't dream of inviting supermarket sales reps, though you might embarrass me." Kate and her husband exchanged glances, hurt but unwilling to stoop to Tina's level. "Congratulations," Kate said softly. "We'd love to come, but we'll be too busy managing our schedules." Tina laughed mockingly. "Who's inviting you?" "I'm just informing you. Lekki is not for people like you." Before Kate could respond, a young woman rushed towards Tina, her face red with anger. "Tina," she shouted. "How could you be this mean? This is not what we agreed on." Tina immediately began signaling the woman to be quiet, but it was too late. The woman continued, her voice rising. "You borrowed hair, jewelry, clothes, and handbags from our store a week ago, and you've refused to return them. Do you want me to lose my job?" Kate and her husband looked at Tina in disbelief but instinctively tried to defuse the situation. "Maybe this is a misunderstanding," Kate offered. The young woman turned to them and said, "You're defending her. Do you even know who she is? Her phone is on credit, her car is borrowed, her entire life is fake." Before Tina could react, the woman reached for Tina's wig and snatched it off her head. Gasps rippled through the growing crowd as the woman demanded Tina return the jewelry. Panicked, Tina began removing her earrings, necklace, bangles, and even her dress and shoes, leaving her in nothing but her innerwear. Phones were out, recording every moment as Tina stood humiliated. Out of pity, Kate's husband quickly removed his coat and draped it over Tina. They helped her into their car, a sleek, latest model Lexus Jeep. Inside the car, Tina sat in stunned silence, clutching the coat tightly around her. Kate and her husband exchanged glances before Kate spoke. "Tina, you've always been like this, proud, arrogant, and obsessed with appearances. But life isn't about what people see on the outside." Her husband added, "We've never felt the need to show off, even though we could. This Jeep is one of our several vehicles. The supermarket, it's ours. We manage several branches across the state. But wealth doesn't define who we are, Tina. Humility and kindness do." Tina's jaw dropped as she stared at them. You own the supermarket," she whispered. "Yes," Kate replied. "But that's not the point. We tried to be kind to you, but you've been so blinded by your pride that you couldn't see it." Her husband sighed. "The way you treat people, Tina, it's not sustainable. If you keep living this way, you'll keep hurting yourself and others." Kate bought Tina a simple dress and slippers before they dropped her off. But when they reached Tina's supposed home in Lekki, they were shocked to find it was actually a shared room in a rundown Face Me I Face You house in Mushin. Tina avoided their eyes as she got out of the car. "Thank you," she mumbled, ashamed. The next morning, Tina's humiliation went viral. Videos of her undressing in the supermarket flooded social media, and the comments were brutal. Tina stayed in bed, staring at the screen, overwhelmed with regret and shame. Kate and her husband, despite everything, reached out to Tina and offered to help her start over. But Tina couldn't face them. She ignored their calls and messages, drowning in her regret. Months later, Tina finally accepted their help. She joined their supermarket team and began learning how to live humbly and earn honestly. Over time, she transformed into a more grounded and kind-hearted person. Moral lesson: pride comes before a fall, and humility is the true measure of success. True wealth isn't in possessions but in the way we treat others and the legacy we leave behind.